Fragments of silicon may be slithery when wet.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon, the Daylight Interviews. Last one of these for the season. Yep, things are almost wrapped up here, but before they are, we still have a couple more broadcasts to get through. With that in mind, this week we are welcoming Jaime of KaleidoGames.
Hey, hello.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's getting hot where I live, but it's okay. It's okay.
I can
But
relate. I mean, I suppose the big question is how humid things are in your neck of the woods.
right here is very dry, so in that way, it's good.
Yeah, that's less relatable as it's very humid out. Anyway, weather aside, right, so how we like to get started is we like to get to know the people behind the games, the studio, and all that business, and we do this by asking this particular question. What got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
Hmm. Well, when I was really small, like 3 years old, uh, in 1985, I think it was. Yeah, 85, 86 maybe. My parents got an MSX. It's a computer that was mainly very famous in Japan, Brazil, Spain, Netherlands. Not sure about the US, but it was
Uh, I
yeah.
don't think we ever got the MSX.
Okay,
Kind of
it's
a
something like something in between like a Spectrum, Commodore, something.
I'm
It's like an S,
familiar with the format, but I can't say anyone here ever experienced it.
Right.
right? Yeah, but the funny thing is that MSX it comes from Microsoft X, which it was
Right.
kind of like a PC, but with cassettes, 8-bit, and no hard drives or floppies or any kind of disks. So it was pretty
And
basic.
2 cartridge slots.
Yeah, yeah, you could plug in two cartridges, one maybe for extend the memory or enhance music capabilities or whatever. But Konami used to do that to create Easter eggs in their games. So, for example, if you have a game, a shoot 'em up game, and then you plug another maybe like a platformer game and so they could talk to each other, the cartridges. So they used
Mhm.
to do things like enable a new game character on the shoot 'em up game from the platformer game. It was crazy, but it was such a fun thing to do. It was crazy, but it was
It was
nice.
the
Mhm.
basis of an entire tribute game, La Mulana.
Oh, yeah, La Mulana is based on an MSX game called
Mace of
Nightmare
Gallius,
3.
98
Yeah,
as well.
Maze of
Mace
Gladius.
of Gallius as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which obviously I played it. The Mulana 1 and 2. I mean, they're fantastic
Mhm.
games. Super hard, but more
Yes.
rewarding than anything else.
Can be if you have the patience for those games.
And Sanity, yeah.
Like, I won't lie, I've found the La Mulana games to be rather obtuse. Like,
Yeah,
like I'm playing a Sierra adventure game at points rather than a platformer.
Yeah, it was too punishing game. It was playing tricks all the time on the player. The first one, and the
Yep.
second one it was more forgiving, but still, for me they were nice. I like Easter egg hunting and
Mhm.
difficult games.
Indeed. Anyway, so how did this progress into, actual development of video games?
Oh yeah. So this MSX computer came with a MSX Basic book. So I was feeling around with a friend, and I started to like coding patterns, visual things, and stuff. So we started making really simple games when I was like before 10 years old,
Mhm.
and then years passed by. My friend and I, we are all both of us developers, but I because I did Flash in the back of like 20 years ago, Flash development, and they were like websites, but very interactive. I started to like developing this kind of thing, so I thought video games was my thing. It started as a hobby, as a side project of my professional uh, career. But then when Flash died, I thought I should jump in full time on development, game game development. So I have been doing this for 20, not 20, not 20, 15 years, video games.
Hmm. I mean, that's certainly quite a while to be developing video games. Really, anything.
Yeah, yeah. I started with. Do you know what is the green light of Steam?
Yep.
So yeah, my
Been
first
a while
game.
since we heard that name.
Yeah. So my first game had to pass the green light, which I think it was a nice thing to have because it was filtering lots of really shitty games that we get now.
When people weren't
And
manipulating the green light service, it was actually good. The problem is people were, using, let's say, nefarious means to manipulate it and get utter garbage onto Steam.
yeah, yeah, that started to happen lately on green light, but uh, sometimes also there were like good games and they were not green light soon
Mm.
enough. And in the end, they did green light everything. So they decided to charge $100 per submission game, which
Mhm.
I'm not sure what is better, really, but here we are.
I mean, it's all water under the bridge, given that the green light gatekeeping hasn't existed for, I want to say, 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, 10 years is it's about right. Yeah.
And what was your first game anyway?
Well, the first game I published, uh, like professionally as independent game developer, it was BKR, which it was a shoot 'em up with bees, and I made it for iOS and Android, and then I
Mhm.
ported it to the Ouya. Ouya, Ouya.
Uh,
You
wow. This is unlocking
remember?
some memories.
Yeah.
The
So
Ouya.
yeah, the Ouya, it was all right. The video we are seeing now is Vicky Reloaded, which I remade. So this is not the first game
Mhm.
I made. This is like a remaster
Yeah, I
because
didn't
the first
have
game
access to footage for the original version, so
uh, it's it's,
Well,
it-
I
it's
assume that's
about the
because
same.
you don't have access to an Ouya.
yeah.
Well, I never got to polish it in Ouya because
Mm,
they were dying and they were giving me how do you say, they were not allowing the game because the HUD was not visible enough and silly things like that.
mm.
So yeah, they died
Yeah.
basically. Ouya died before I was able to release it. Um, But yeah,
Possibly dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Like I didn't hear the best things about the Ouya store, especially in its dying days.
yeah, no, not really. Well, um, I, it was not really good, really. It could have been better, but the power of that machine was really bad, and especially the controller was it was laggy, very laggy. So it
Yeah,
made the
yeah,
console.
I remember these being near universal complaints, especially
Yeah,
the controller. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I ever saw an Ouya video that didn't complain about that thing.
yeah, yeah. I used wired controllers, so it was fine. But
Mhm.
using the Bluetooth, it was they used to say you have to remove the Wi-Fi connection if you experience high latency on the controller and bullshit like that, and it was just wrong. So, but later, Razer they released the Forge TV, which it was like an evolution of Ouya, but it never took off.
No, it
And
did not.
it was the same thing, but a lot more powerful, but never took off. But I got it. I got one for them from them for free to develop things, and I used it for at least 8 years. The machine it was good for emulation, and then it was like a fine Android TV thing. And I used to use it for streaming from my
Mhm.
PC to the telly. So yeah, it was not bad at all. But they didn't do a good job on marketing side.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, nobody knows
considering
about it, really.
I was about to say, considering the device, like, say what you will about Ouya, it left an impression, not a good one, but people remember that thing.
Yeah.
All the other micro consoles from that era, nothing. Like nobody
Like
remembers like the Game Stick or the Game Vice.
the
No.
the only
Yeah.
one
These are
that
real
really
things.
stuck around was the Nvidia Shield, and that's just because people have been using it as a very powerful set-top box for
Yeah.
TVs that don't have smarts.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my main purpose as well for the Forge TV of Racers. Yeah, it was the
Mhm.
same.
Anyway, so I'm presuming that Beaker worked out for you when it
Well,
was released. Go
didn't
ahead.
sell too well, really. But I had my mindset into this, making cool video games. Uh, so in Android, it was I made it free with ads, and then I got like 15,000 downloads, was all right. But in iOS, I got like 200, something like that. And on PC, I published it before Steam. I published it in a shop called The Sura.
I
And
was about to say this is
yeah,
far back enough where things were a lot more fragmented. Where this thing called Desura exists.
yeah,
For
it's
those who
still
weren't around,
yeah,
that was basically the indie Steam service.
yeah, that one, and then later it's IO, but it was the
Yeah,
Sura mainly first. But it was terrible because I remember I had analytics inside my game before all these cookies nonsense. So I was able to get telemetry from all my players, and the day I started selling it, I got like 1,000 players playing big time at the same time, and I was so happy. And then I went to the shop to see the sales report, and I only sold two. And so basically, my game was
yeah.
hacked and copied and pirated, and it made no
There
money.
are reasons. Yeah, there are reasons why Desura isn't around anymore.
That's the major
In
one.
fact,
Yeah, that could be one.
yeah. In
But
fact, I think
yeah,
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 it's
but
one of them. It's just
yeah,
other services had better cachet, not just Steam. But I remember a lot of indie titles going to GOG
yeah,
around the time and finding a measure of success there.
yeah.
In fact,
I
they were able
tried.
to parlay
Uh,
that.
yeah, I tried there, but they told me that they didn't accept shoot 'em ups games, not new ones, at least. And it was true. They didn't have any shoot 'em ups, and I was making shoot 'em ups, so I never got around to publishing GOG.
I
Sadly.
am like, I know some people pine for this era. I am so glad it's dead.
Yeah.
Like, just all of this gatekeeping caused no end of problems. I understand we got different problems. You know, the opposite problem. There's way
Yeah.
too much.
The
Yeah.
opposite, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but that's not really the store's fault. That's just, you know, making games is so, for a
It's easier.
relative term here, easy.
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
I mean,
easier.
I know it ain't easy. That's definitely one thing that this show proves time and again.
Hmm.
But you know, it is easier to make a game now than it was like even 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the game you are displaying on the channel right now, Vicky Reloaded and Vicky and Vortex Attack and all the games basically
Mhm.
before Slam and Roll, the latest one, I had to code everything. So
Mm.
I had no visual editors. I had to build them, like from scratch, everything, the engine, I mean, it's just mad. I'm porting Vortex Attack to Unity, and I just do some wizardy tricks there. It's like I did this, and it's just amazing. It's just how complicated it was to code something that ran fast, 60 frames per second, and it was easy to upgrade. But with Unity, it's just so much easier. And now even better. I mean, not better, but it's even easier with Chat GPT, which you can ask anything. Like, I don't know how to code this, and Chat GPT is gonna tell you how to do it or do it for you,
Yeah.
which is just the we are touching ceiling here. It's just couldn't get easier.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the flip side to that is generative AI and, well, making anything is,
Yeah,
let's say, at the best, highly controversial. At its worst, we've got AI slop
yeah,
clogging all the stores
yeah,
with
yeah,
their awfulness. Like,
yeah.
just, but, you know, it's making a already bad problem even worse, and there's no real solution to it.
No,
Currently.
I mean, Steam have been doing their homework from well for
Steam's
10
actually
years.
like
It's the
looking into
savior
it.
already.
Steam's actually the best platform for this. Not so
It
much
is.
it isn't being infected with AI bullshit, but it's
Yeah,
being you know, they have requirements that you disclose AI, which
And
is
if
yeah.
more than
it's one of those things, if you
any
don't
console store.
disclose, you will be banned from the service.
Not
Yeah.
sure.
Um,
I'm not sure,
yeah.
but
But
yeah,
you know, this is a bit of a tangent here.
Hmm.
So,
yeah.
getting
I
back
mean,
to like the main games here, specifically Slam and Roll.
hmm,
Um, so, as you mentioned, this is your latest.
yeah.
For the uninitiated, what is Slam and Roll?
Well, it's kind of a tribute to the 90s arcade games. I used to play them in bars or in arcade venues. Um, this games called Tumble Pop, Bubble Bubble, Snow Bros, Super Punk.
Oh
As
yeah, I
it was
remember
called,
that.
Buster Bros. It was called in America. Um, so yeah,
Okay, Buster
I
Brothers, Pang.
yeah. So I used to love those games, and they were like simple games, and they were fun. Basically, they weren't anything else. Just they were just fun, like playing cards. It's fun. That's it. You don't have to. You don't need a lore. You don't need a solid story behind the game. You just need to be fun. So that's what I did with this game. I tried to make something that is a lot of fun to play alone and with friends. And it has some sort of progression with unlocking new levels, new areas, new characters, new visual filters, or whatever. Something nice. So fun, basically fun. And especially now that the people is complaining that the games are not fun no more. So I thought, well, let's
Honestly,
make a
like
let's make a fun
honestly,
game.
that's a complaint. Like honestly, that's a complaint I've been hearing about video games for literally decades.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
you know, video games aren't fun is kind of a subjective debate.
it
As
is.
in, like, if you're not having fun with, current AAA releases, there may be a few reasons for that. Or, if you're not having fun with the latest, say, first person shoot, Call of Duty game, maybe you don't like that. But then the conversation goes into the games as art crowd. What is a game? But yeah, fun factor was a core value to arcade game.
Yeah,
Because it kind of had to be.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
imagine
to
spending your quarters, no, in a no fun game.
Yeah,
So it doesn't make any sense.
yeah, not
But
necessarily
now,
a fun game.
yeah,
Not necessarily a fun. You were either fun or you're a whiz bang. Because let me tell you, Dragon's Lair was never fun. But it's
I was thinking about
but it
that
had
game specifically. Yes.
yeah. Like it had technology behind it. It looked
Dragon's Lair was impressive to
amazing.
look at.
Yeah, yeah. That's why
Yeah,
they had a
but
screen on the top as well.
yeah. But actually playing it, I know it has its fans, surprisingly, but I've never been one.
No,
Like,
no, not really. Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, there is no adrenaline or playability or replayability in that game or scores or anything. It's just a movie.
it's literally the opposite because everything's set in stone. Like when you know how Dragon Layers plays out, then it's just a matter of timing,
Yeah,
and the timing wasn't that difficult in Dragon's Lair. It's just
yeah,
but yeah, outside of that kind of example, pure raw gameplay is not
yeah.
just the
Intense.
ethos of
Mm,
arcade games, but like the golden age of consoles, Atari 2600, Intellivision, et cetera, et cetera. Those were largely built out of the same foundational arcade gameplay.
yeah. Short
Um,
games and intense and difficult.
yeah.
Yeah,
And, it's a gameplay style that definitely has a place in the world. It's like I will say to those advocates, it's never going to be the main focus of the industry again.
no,
Like that's just not the world we live in. Like Twitch gaming has been replaced with the gameplay loop. Like, there are still some of the same principles, but you know, just everything's been extended since the 8-bit era.
mm,
Like, anyway, so how does Slam and Roll differ, improve, alter, et cetera, this kind of formulae?
okay. Well, I try to modernize the gameplay a little bit. So, for example, you have three main options to play, which one is tour mode, which basically in an arcade game you have to play the whole tour mode in one go. But here, sorry, you can stop anytime you want and then play another time, like maybe have like 5 minute session gameplays. So you can complete one level and then the next day you can complete the next one if you like. So it's compatible with the frantic style of lifestyle we have right now, which is like we want to do many things at once. So if you are picking a bus or even in the toilet or whatever, you just have time to play one game. So yeah, you can play that mode and do one stage and do something else if you want, or you can spend the whole evening playing. But then there is another mode which is arcade, which is basically what we used to have in the arcade games on the 80s and 90s. It's, so it's like a shorter mode, but it needs to be completed in one go. Uh, but the modern thing here is you have online scores, and you can say where are you from if you like, and then you can customize the characters. So if you like wearing any color of any clothes they have, or any color of the skin, you got it. You can do it. So that's something you couldn't do before. And then it's not the gameplay is not very rigid. Like it used to be constrained on the hardware limitations, but here I have no limitations, so I can do anything I like. So I've been doing everything in just for gameplay, not for because I can. So everything has been thought just to make more fun, to have more fun. So yeah, basically, if you like arcade games, you will like this one. And if you are tired of old arcade games, you will also like this one because it's not as stiff as they used to be. So it's more fluid, everything, and it's compatible with modern life, basically.
Yeah. And that is like I'm not exactly sure what the word is. Um that is a split, I suppose a schism in the development ethos of these kind of tribute games. Because, we've certainly encountered plenty of new games that are trying to adhere to the old as close as possible. This game looks, plays, sounds like an NES game, a Game Boy game, an 80s arcade game, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah,
Or they are trying to get as close, but not restraining themselves to the old technology, to the old tools. And then we got something like this, which is invoking the spirit, but is very much modern. Like we're in widescreen.
yeah,
We saw in the other mode that you were able to scroll,
yeah,
that kind of thing. And all approaches here are valid, I would say, because some people want to challenge themselves with the old restraints. Some people don't want to be constrained and bring that gameplay into something in line with what a modern audience would conceivably think of. So it's a very nuanced and complex conversation, but one with multiple avenues. Like,
yeah, yeah. Well, basically, yeah, I've seen people trying to mimic the hardware limitations from 80s, mainly 80s uh,
mm,
consoles or arcades like Galaga or NES, uh,
yeah,
especially NES, not Master System or Mega Drive or anything like that. That's not really happening. It's just more like NES. I don't know why, but
like I definitely say, yeah, not a lot of people reaching to the Master System. Genesis, we is definitely a big influence, as are surprisingly a lot of 80s computers.
yeah. So this game in reality does it all because when
Yeah,
you play and you unlock characters, you also unlock a visual filter.
yeah,
And those visual filters, they can change dramatically the look and feel of the game. For example, if you select a Game Boy LCD, which normally when people say, "Hey, this looks like a Game Boy," no, that's not like a Game Boy. Game Boy was really bad in the
Yeah,
eyes.
like
It was awful.
it is. Yeah, it is actually impossible to get the actual look of a old school Game Boy, and I
Oh
am
yeah,
fine with that because I had one, and yeah, this screen is as bad as people say it is. It's
yeah,
like,
it is.
there's a reason why people thought the Lynx and the Game Gear was just going to steamroll this thing because the screen was not
Awful.
just monochromatic but awful,
Yeah, it
absolutely
has
awful.
ghosting and
Yep,
the contrast was awful because it was
yep,
dark blue against yellowish green.
yep.
It was awful. But I managed to create this experience in this game just for fun because when I was developing this, I showed my friend, no, no, my son, uh, the Game Boy I have around one. So I
Mhm.
told him that that it was the real look of the Game Boy. Uh,
Right.
so I thought, well, why don't I make people angry by replicating this? So I did.
I'm not sure how my nephews or niece would respond to a Game Boy.
No, they
Like,
will put the Game Boy down quickly.
no,
Quickly.
like they would probably literally scratch their heads at such a thing because
Yeah,
they are they are the smartphone generation.
yeah,
But you know, getting back to Slam and Roll here, like if I had to place the actual look in the old school here, it reminds me of a '90s SNK Neo Geo game.
exactly. That's what I aimed for initially, and then I did what I felt like. But that was initially the look and feel. I tried to because I thought Neo Geo was just an excellent arcade machine. It was probably along with CPS 2 and 3 and Naomi.
Yeah,
Uh, but Naomi was just a different league. It was 3D and Ikaruga and all of that. It was just amazing.
Naomi's of a different, literally of a different generation than
Yeah,
CPS or um, Neo Geo arcade hardware
yeah,
because those were the last of the great 2D arcade boards.
yeah. I mean, I don't think you need anything else if you want to go with 2D. I mean, have you played Blazing Star or Pulsar
Yes.
from Neo Geo? It was they
Yep.
just they still look amazing. It's just such it's better than most modern games. And they were built in 93, 94, those games.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but I'll be honest, I'm trying to remember which one had the pre-rendered look that I hate so much. Like, never
Probably,
liked it.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I think the Pulsar. I think it was more noticeable this pre-render thingy.
Yeah,
But the backgrounds they are like real pixel art. It's like well
right.
like Metal Slug and all of that. They just
hmm
look amazing. It's just it can't be better than that. I don't think.
Well,
I don't
and
think.
it's not just the pixel art that looked amazing; it's the animation. Like,
Yeah.
there was nothing as fluidly animated as Neo Geo games were.
No, not really. Yeah.
Um,
CPS 3, but it was just the end as well. They were
yeah,
on power. But yeah,
yeah.
I get what you say. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about SNK hardware was it's a lot more affordable. Like, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a reason why it's the big reason why SNK is beloved in a lot of places that don't have a lot of video game culture, for lack of a better term, like the Middle East or a lot of Latin America. Like when you talk about those places, SNK was really big there because their arcade hardware was very cheap for arcade hardware. Like
Hmm.
ridiculously expensive as home stuff, sure, but as arcade stuff, very affordable.
Hmm. Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Anyway, um, so once again, in terms of your game here, uh, who are you? What are you doing? What is the framework that we're working with here?
You mean like what engine I'm using?
No, I mean, in terms of the characters, their goals.
All right.
Um,
Well, basically, uh, there were a bunch of school kids. They were like playing their sports, and these aliens come to planet Earth, and they're very silly, by the way, because they don't speak very well. I'm saying this because I some people thought that the intro of the game, which explains the lore of the game, is it has the aliens talking, but they talk really bad, and they thought I was not good with English. And I told them, no, they don't know, they don't they don't know how to speak English properly. So anyway, so yeah, so they come to steal our monuments, and they try, the police and armies from different places in the world. They try to stop them, but they can't for whatever reason. So
mhm,
this guy, this Dr. Labby, comes to with this idea to create this super powerful magic sport items. So it works with them, with the aliens. So it doesn't kill them, but they encapsulate them inside balls. So it's like a mysterious technology.
mm,
So you put them inside gigantic balls like basketballs or hockey pucks, and then you push them across the screen, and then when they crash, they die. But you can kill other enemies with these rolling balls.
yeah. As you
So yeah,
noted, it's very tumble pop, bubble bobble,
yeah,
Snow Brothers.
yeah,
Honestly, that's the one that this one really reminds me of.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I thought it was a really neat mechanic, capturing enemies and then throwing them down the screen, and it was
Mhm,
such a common mechanic in the 90s. There were loads of games with this.
mhm,
Uh, I thought it was just a great thing to do, and to be honest, when those games were around on the mid 90s, I wanted to make a game like that. So I've been planning to make this game for 30 years. So I did it. In the end, I managed to build my perfect game to my eyes. The game I really want someone to make, but nobody was making any kind of game like this before.
right.
Uh, so I ended up making it myself.
That that
All
we
right.
found
I
that
have to head out, but your games look pretty neat, so
yeah.
Cheers.
I'll probably try and check them out later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, as I was saying, that is how a lot of these projects end up getting created. Nobody was creating this, so I decided to do it myself.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly. But while I was making this game, they made two new ones. It was a Snow Bros remake, remaster, special, something like that. And if I knew they were making the game, I wouldn't have made this game. But
mm,
they're different, very different games, so it's fine. It's fine.
right. I mean, and it sounds like the game came out to your satisfaction,
Oh
which is
yeah, yeah. I love my game. Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's pretty good. I mean, I spent over 4 years of my life
Mhm,
full time, and I never got sick of it. I was just like happy that I was making this is my masterpiece at the moment. And
mhm,
it doesn't look like it's a complex game, but it has
Yeah,
over 200
it,
stages,
it
and then
yeah, it doesn't look like it, but it actually is.
yeah,
Or,
well,
even if it's
it
not
tries to be. It
compli
tries to be.
e yeah, even if it's not complicated, that doesn't mean it was easy to build. Like,
Yeah,
uh
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. For me, it was my first game I built in Unity,
mhm,
and the first platformer game I built ever, and the first game I made for Xbox. So it was all kind of new for me because I've been making shoot 'em ups for Nintendo Switch and PC for a while, but I never had to deal with physics or platforms or Xbox. So yeah, it was too many things new, and I still have to make it work in PlayStation. I still have
so
to do
there
it.
is so this game is coming to PlayStation.
I want to, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
ah,
probably next year it'll come to PlayStation, most definitely.
okay. Um, Granted, I don't know enough in terms of development that would make the PlayStation that much different than the Xbox platforms. There might be some things, but it's not like the difference between making a Nintendo Switch game and something for Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean for Nintendo Switch One, it was quite difficult because the CPU is not very powerful, so I
Hmm.
had to optimize a ton of things. So once you got it working with Nintendo Switch One, it just works in the rest of systems, really.
Yeah, that's what we've heard in the past. You know, the yeah, once again, it's one of those things that people may not really have quite they know that the Nintendo Switch is significantly underpowered compared to like even the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but
Yeah,
how underpowered it is.
a lot,
Um,
a
yeah,
lot. Yeah, one of the stages of the latest stages on this game, it has like 40, 50 enemies because it has a big scroll, and so they were like in this massive screen. So I had to remove quite a few of them because the Nintendo Switch was running at 20 FPS, and it was not. I mean, 60 enemies is not that much, but still. So I have to optimize that screen in the late stages of development.
mm,
For Xbox, I got like I don't know 600 FPS or something like that, something crazy. So yeah, I mean I'm used to working. I'm used to work with Nintendo Switch and retro games. So I normally even I don't I'm not constrained by retro hardware limitations. I'm
right.
still constrained by Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but the latest game I'm making is called Vortex Attack 2. It's
Uh-huh.
full on 3D and it has I went crazy with the 3D and effects and everything. So I think I will not release it on Nintendo Switch 1 and go directly to Nintendo Switch 2,
Mm,
Xbox and PlayStation because I don't think it's gonna work. Well, I'm gonna try anyway, and I'll try for a couple of weeks, and if I don't manage to make it work, then it's not gonna happen.
mm.
But
Makes
but it's
sense.
yeah, it's nice for once to not be constrained with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have access to Nintendo Switch development kit or capabilities therein?
What do you mean like the hardware specs?
Yeah, well, I mean, do you have a dev kit yet or not?
No. For Nintendo Switch 2, I don't think any indie dev, like real indie developer, is gonna have anything for now. Maybe the
That's not exactly true. Like, I know a friend of the show has a dev kit, but it's like you got to be on Nintendo's list to do in order for
yeah,
that to happen.
yeah. At least you need to have a maybe like a hit or create demanding games, basically.
Yeah,
Which
or
uh,
or something that I know the game's a hit, but it's
yeah,
also something that's in, let's say, Nintendo's wheelhouse.
yeah,
Granted,
yeah, yeah. You
something
need to
like
be in that list. Yeah, basically.
yeah,
I don't know anyone on that list at the moment,
mm,
but
yeah,
probably, I mean, they probably are gonna give access to dev kits slowly. I mean, this happened anyway with the Nintendo Switch One. I took
it
like
yeah,
1 year or two, I think, to get the dev kit for for Nintendo Switch One.
yeah.
So I think it's gonna happen as well here. They are like whitelisting people, and right now, I don't think there is a list for Nintendo Switch One. I mean, probably anyone can ask for a dev kit. Probably, I'm not sure. I don't know, but
I like I would have to ask someone who has access directly to that more directly.
yeah,
Hmm.
Like,
yeah.
We've
and I'm
had
I
not
mean,
sure they.
friends, they've just been a little busy with kind of, the launch of the Switch too.
It's not just that, but such things are under heavy NDA,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
especially before
yeah,
before launch.
Hmm.
Like, so,
yeah.
um,
Well, well, that actually could be the case. I mean,
yeah,
I know lots of people who doesn't have, and I know they don't have, but maybe the others they are not allowed to say. So yeah, it could
right.
be the case.
I'd
Yeah,
imagine that. I mean, now they're a lot. They're being allowed to say, like, I'm seeing more Switch 2 announcements. Um,
yeah,
now that the system's out, um, you know, and so on and so forth. It's definitely still going to be selective, but it is freer than it was.
Hmm.
Plus,
yeah.
as far as another question to ask right now is, what's the state of Vortex 2? Um,
Um, I don't. Hold on. Fine, okay. Yeah, so Vortex Attack 2 is under development and it should be out on the wild in 2026 probably.
Mm.
But
okay,
but still a long way to finish it. I mean, it's looking
yeah,
a lot better than the first one because this time I have real artists and 3D artists, modelers. Before it was just like, do you remember Geometry Wars? It was like
yes,
an abstract game. So I tried to go that way, like vectorial abstract game.
hmm
Apparently I nailed it with the gameplay, but lots of people never played the game because the visuals. So I thought, well, for Vortex Attacks 2, I'm gonna keep as close to the first one in terms of gameplay, but with visuals, I'm gonna really do my homework there. I'm gonna work really hard to make something really interesting for even for PlayStation 5 players. Because until now I never bother to have like stunning visuals. So I was just making things to look good, but not stunning. So but I think I'm getting good feedback at the moment privately with the visuals. I'm not sure if I can show you an image at the moment.
I
Uh,
mean, is that for like legal reasons, or is that because of the development state?
Yeah, because it's work in progress, so it's not complete at all. But I can show you maybe an image to get an idea how it's looking.
All right.
Uh,
All right. I mean,
so
yeah, that's up to you.
yeah, why not? Yeah, so yeah, at the moment I've been taking only a few screenshots. Well, I can show you this, maybe. Yeah, hold on. There's you. I'm gonna place in the voice chat
All
if
right.
I can. Yeah, all right. So this is work in progress, so it's not final at all. I mean, the scale is wrong, the angle is wrong, everything is wrong, but you get the idea. Like it has real 3D models, and before it was just everything is 2D.
All right. And it should be. Yep, it's up on the stream for everyone to look at as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so you can see that. I think it's a picture from my screen, not like from my
It
phone.
it looks like a screen picture. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's cut off and
Yeah.
everything's wrong. But
Well, some people do actually have camera shake like that, so it's hard to know if it was artistic or just limitations of you know getting the picture.
yeah, no, it was just a bad picture I took
Yeah.
because I wanted to show the dragon in the middle, like how it was looking,
Mm-hmm.
but the UFOs and and other things are like placeholders basically. But yeah, so I'm happy I'm working in 3D. This is my first 3D game, and I think it's gonna look pretty cool.
Hmm.
Yep.
Mm.
Well, it's good to hear that you are enthusiastic about your upcoming project, uh, and
Yep.
to tie it back to the previous conversation, I'd imagine by the time the game is done,
Hmm.
Nintendo Switch 2 dev kits will probably become more prevalent and
Mm.
Yeah.
plentiful and accessible.
Yeah. So probably when this game is completed, I will pitch it to Nintendo for a Nintendo Switch 2
Hmm.
dev kit. Um, they will probably will say yes because with other consoles, I told them, look, this game is gonna be released in this and this platform. So they asked me to send a pitch, like a PowerPoint thingy, and they look at it and like in less than an hour they give me access. So I think it's gonna work. But at the moment with Nintendo Switch 2 it's not possible. At least not for me because they are not accepting requests. But they will. They will next year probably. So that's when
Right.
I will try. I mean at the moment I'm not I don't have intentions. And the other thing is the Nintendo Switch eShop is pretty bad at the moment because it's super is crowded with
Yeah.
sales,
Well, not
massive
just
sales
sales, but like games with zero effort just being shoveled on. Because
as well.
I miss when Nintendo at least had a bit of curation. Not quite as bad as the Wii U era,
Hmm,
but like some curation and getting some of this AI slop off
yeah,
would help the Switch immensely.
yeah. I miss that because it's really hurting me as a developer because I didn't sell as much as I thought in the Nintendo Switch. But it's not only happening to me; it's happening to most publishers with
Hmm.
not super powerful games, but they are struggling to make sales on Nintendo Switch. So we have to lower our prices like insanely to make some kind of impact. I mean, before you release the game and then they will put you in the front page, whatever. But with Slam and Roll, they only put me like less than an hour, and
Mhm.
then I was delegated to page 5 or something like that, and then I was gone. So how am I supposed to make a living with so much stuff happening per hour? It's just crazy. At least Steam is managing this a bit differently, and it works better. But so what I think is Nintendo has to to change the way they deal with the eShop, so we can at least have some recognition of make. I spent full 4 years developing Slam and Roll, and just for nothing in Nintendo Switch. So for something that someone that made a video game in a month using AI, and it has the same chances as me, was I don't think
Mhm.
is good, because they have the same visibility as me, and it's, I don't want to say it's fair, because business are not fair, but still it's a bit crappy. It's a bad feeling, you know
Yeah.
all your work for just nothing, and to be treated as as if I took like one evening to make a whole game. I have been putting lots of energy and thoughts on the gameplay and visuals and Slam and Roll, and s- and just for nothing. So I put it at $9, which is not it's not expensive, but if you put it in context, you see so many $2 games in the
Mhm.
eShop, like thousands of them. So it's just impossible to compete with that. So something has to change, I think. I have to change, or they have to change, or I have to make simple games, or I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
It's a tough situation.
It is a conundrum that I'm not sure has an answer. Like,
I don't know.
yeah. Anyway,
But
so we are out of time. So um, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being with us here today to talk about your games. It's
thank
been
you.
a excellent conversation.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and hopefully we can have you back on the show when Vortex Fighters 2 is in a much better state to be presented, let's say.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, yeah,
With that in mind, the main game today is Slam and Roll. It is available now for Steam, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox platforms,
yeah,
and hopefully coming next year to PlayStation.
yeah,
It retails for $9.99, so be sure to go and at least try the demo today.
yeah, yeah. I think if you're into arcade games or quick games or intense games, then this game is for you.
Is the demo available on like all platforms you're ready to launch on, or are there some platforms that just doesn't have a demo yet?
So demo is only on Steam,
All right.
but it works in a toaster machine. So
Yeah. Well, because
don't worry.
there are people who only have consoles, and then they find out, oh, there's not a demo on console.
Yeah, no. Basically, is every release in consoles
Yeah.
or is a bit more tricky. But if they have any laptop or any shitty computer,
Yeah.
it works. It just works on Steam. It's just very well optimized, or I try to optimize it. So
Also, if
don't
you're
be
just
scared. Yeah,
interested, just go look up some videos on YouTube if you don't have any computer, because like we're reaching the
yeah,
age where people don't necessarily need to have a full
yeah,
PC anymore. Some
yeah.
people
No,
just have a phone and a console, and that's all they need.
yeah,
It
yeah,
depends on what we're talking about here.
For
But
general entertainment, there are people who are just fine with a phone and a console.
Yeah,
Not even
yeah,
a console, a phone will do.
Yeah.
yeah. A tablet or a phone is enough for most everyone at the moment. Yeah. So yeah, YouTube or even maybe Twitch, but
Yep.
mainly YouTube. There are thousands of gameplays of slam and roll, and this is pretty similar to play a demo.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
All right then. So yeah, that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Um, as always, be sure to tune in for our next broadcast, which will be the final Sunday reviews of the season. So until
Cool.
then, I shall wish you good gaming.
Yeah. See you at the high score table.